Hi everyone, my name is Sofia Mavridi, and this video is about the skills teachers need to develop to manage the way they portray themselves online and how they can avoid the pitfalls that exist on the way. It is not a list of do's and don'ts. I'm not going to tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing. I'm going to talk about the opportunities and risks entailed. I'm going to talk about what makes social media so different from conventional media, and then invite you to make your own informed decisions. So, first things first, opportunities. New digital media encourage participatory cultures where people are not passive consumers of content, but they also create, curate, and share content. This is a very active process, and it's a paradigm shift in terms of how people engage with content and with one another. We create content, even with a comment on Facebook. And access is not restricted to those with specific attributes and credentials, something that this is not happening in face-to-face communications and interactions where you need particular credentials or attributes. So open access to information and participatory cultures can lead to greater knowledge and better intellectual exchanges. We can interact with a wide range of people, be exposed to diverse ideas and perspectives. We can create our own personal learning networks and learn with and from one another. And this can be really powerful for everyone, for you, for your students, for education in general. That's why we're talking about a paradigm shift. And let's not forget about the career opportunities. You can land a job, you can network and meet the right contacts, you can share your work with a broad audience, and you can build up your personal brand. Now, your personal brand is the image you portray, what people associate you with when they hear your name. I know it's educational technology for me. So there are plenty of career opportunities, and I'm not suggesting that just by being on social media you will land the job of your dreams. No, it takes a lot of time and effort for this, but I'm just saying that you have the opportunity to see and to be seen 24/7, and this in itself is massive. However, with this great resource comes great responsibility, and as teachers navigate social networking sites, there is a dangerously thin line between professional and personal online etiquette. And if teachers know how to handle all this, the benefits can be enormous. Inappropriate use, however, can negatively affect their careers. And in the most serious cases, it can provide a poor role model to their students. So, what are the risks? It is worth saying here that the meaning of the words oversharing, undersharing, depends on a number of variables, including the age, culture, experience, and beliefs of the person, and it is essentially subjective. Oversharing in a Western culture might be different to oversharing in an Eastern culture. Problem is that the internet is global, so it is very, very difficult to come up with an accurate definition. Now, as a researcher living and working in a Western society, most of the research and perceptions I'll be referring to relate to Western cultures. So, oversharing, when people share too much or too personal information, they might potentially create a negative digital footprint that can harm their reputations. Our digital footprint is the trails that we leave behind from anything we do online. Undersharing. Research suggests that people with zero or limited digital presence might be perceived as suspicious or ignorant. Employers will Google you anyway, and a limited digital footprint may come across as odd. Too much self promotion, all these posts that cry, look at me, I'm here, look at me. And projecting an ideal self, that's a long story, and I'm not going to get into much detail here other than say that the real self is who you are, what you are, your attributes, your characteristics, your personality. Your ideal self is what you feel you should be, much of it due to societal and environmental influences. Now, on social media, usually the real and ideal selves intersect, merge in a way, and people tend to project partially or completely their ideal selves. We'll come back to this later on. So let's look at some examples. Teachers often share photos of themselves enjoying their holiday, going to parties, drinking, and while these posts may seem harmless, experts are increasingly warning teachers to accept that anything they post on social media could potentially be seen by students, parents, and employers, despite strict privacy settings. In that extreme case, a young teacher was fired from her job in Georgia, USA, because a parent got hold of an old picture of her with 2 drinks. That's the picture. She eventually tried to sue the school district but lost and never got her job back. Now, what's interesting here is that she didn't have any parents or any students as friends on her Facebook, but she still got fired because somebody that she was friends with forwarded that information to a parent. It sounds scary. Now, that's an awful story. A preschool teacher in Texas has been fired after past social media posts showing that she didn't think enough Jews died during the Holocaust. Now, this is awful. It is really awful for a teacher to say, but it's her opinion, and she can have any opinion she wants. The question is this something that we should be sharing on social media? The answer is yours. Now, that's a sensitive issue. A Russian teacher fired in Russia over LGBT rights posts on social media. I'm saying that this is a sensitive issue because I'm a supporter of LGBT communities, and I believe that every civilized society should support these communities. But if you lived and worked in a society that was biased against these groups, would you risk to lose your job? The answer is yours, and if you told me that yes, I would say respect. But all I'm saying is that it needs to be an informed decision. So while we cannot change the risks associated with social media, they exist, they won't change. We can do lots of things to manage the way we use them. So what can we do? First of all, it is important to understand and remember that new digital media have new affordances that can change conventional understandings of privacy and participation. Persistence. The content created or shared is not ephemeral. It persists indefinitely. This is actually a good thing because it allows asynchronous communications to take place. But once it's out there, we need to know that it has the potential to stay there forever, even if we delete it. Visibility. This content can be accessed by a broader audience and be seen by both intended and invisible viewers. This is actually a good thing because it helps people to know about our work. But if the content is potentially negative, if I sent an inappropriate picture to my boyfriend, for example, I need to know that this has the potential to be seen by a broader audience. Spreadability. The content is easy to download, replicate, or share because new digital media actually encourage people to spread content via built-in share buttons, share on Facebook, share on Twitter. Also, it is so easy to take a screenshot of a private conversation and share it with anyone you want. Spreadability. Databases and search engines allow people to easily find information. We find information at the click of a button. So what you create or share can be searched and found. Do you Google yourself regularly? Try to go beyond page 1. Consider the image you are projecting and try to get rid of any content that represents you negatively. While it is true that we cannot delete anything from our digital footprint, we can at least remove some posts from Google. People will Google you anyway. So ask yourself, will they be able to find good content about you? If not, create it. I'm not suggesting that you should be lying or showing off because this might come across as negative too. But try to build up a positive digital footprint, participate in online knowledge communities, share, learn from other people, engage with content, and try to leave positive trails on the way. Now, a great way to create content is to blog. If you don't want to blog because you think you don't have the time or you don't have the skills, at least engage with other blogs and leave comments. This will be part of your digital footprint and it's up to you to give it the shape that you want. Create an online portfolio. Make it easy for people to find you, to take a look at your work, at the projects you've been involved in. I use LinkedIn for this. I have to admit that LinkedIn is not my cup of tea. I find it a little bit dry, but I think it's a great place for us to create and upload a portfolio. Consider everything you do online as public because it really is. And this is the basic social media policy for teachers. Even a private text should be considered as public because it is so easy to take a screenshot and share it. So we need to be transparent. Don't reveal secrets online and don't talk negatively about other people online because this might be used against you. And something really important, lead by example. Provide a good role model to your students who are also struggling with their digital footprint and they need good models, role models, more than ever before. And many people criticize them, many educators do. They criticize them about the way they use technology. They say that they are increasingly creating a culture of disclosure. And yes, they are a different culture, no doubt about that. But we need to accept that norms are changing. What these young people need is not someone to point the finger at them. They need confident leaders, they need wise teachers who will show rather than patronize. They will show how we can use technology responsibly and ethically. Avoiding the pitfalls, no matter how well we manage our digital identities or how willing we are to develop these new skills, there will be pitfalls on the way. So let's take a look at how we can avoid them. Do not project your ideal self. I know perception is everything, especially on social media where the real and ideal selves merge in a way. But authenticity is key. Instead of creating an inflated and unrealistic ego, an unrealistic version of yourself, try to determine what makes you unique. You are unique, all of you, and focus on enhancing and improving the real you. Now, the selfie effect. Let me get this straight. Selfies are part of our culture and they can be really powerful. They're capturing a moment in a person's life that meant something important to them. Just think of how many selfies we take at conferences with colleagues, for example. But we need to know that according to research, increased frequency may correlate with narcissistic traits and a decrease in intimacy with others. So think before you post 10 selfies a day, because you may come across as someone desperate for attention. The thin lines. While there is nothing wrong with promoting your work, why not? There is something particularly negative with bombarding your network with your achievements, with your posh meals, with your trips. Your followers follow you because they want to learn something from you. Your posts tell a story. Make sure that it's an interesting one. So promote yourself, but make sure you promote the work of other people and that you help your network learn something from you. In terms of personal and too personal, I'd say some personal is good. If it's all about work, your profile may come across as dry. A personal element makes our digital identities more human, more interesting. But I'd say a big no to inappropriate pictures. Again, what may be perceived as inappropriate is essentially subjective, but use common sense as an educator. Don't post revealing pictures, photos in your bikini, photos where alcohol is involved. Drink all you want, but keep it offline. Also, don't change your relationship statuses every month, especially when you have lots of professional connections. That's too much information. Keep it offline. So yes to some personal, but I'd say a big no to too personal. Which takes us to the next point. I'm frequently asked by colleagues and trainees, should teachers be on Tinder or other dating sites? Of course, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but again, let me get this straight. People use dating sites nowadays simply because these sites are available, and some of them are very good and quite safe, I must say. So I can't see anything that is necessarily negative, but if you use it, you need to be aware that your students, their parents, a mutual connection might see you there. So again, the choice is yours, but make sure it's an informed one. Finally, don't get into heated arguments online. There is nothing wrong with disagreeing. In fact, agreeing all the time can be boring. Disagreeing can be constructive, but we need to be polite. Don't get into heated discussions. Mind your language, because you will never, ever be able to take anything back. It will always be part of your digital footprint. Hope you've enjoyed this presentation and you learned something useful. If you want to get in touch with me, these are my contact details. Thanks for watching.